Good morning, my fellow sovereigners, and welcome back to the Sovereign Woman's channel. I am your host, the Sovereign Woman. Okay, so it's dark outside, as you can see. I'm waiting outside my dog to pull in, which is probably going to be in about 5 minutes. So I'm going to try to do this video very quickly. Okay. A few of my viewers and subscribers wanted me to do a video talking about the differences between child-free and childless. Yes, there is a difference. There is a huge difference between child-free and childless. Okay. So for those of you who might think that this is not that big of a deal, it kind of is to us. And the reason why is because people claiming that they're child-free, women in particular, claiming that they are child-free and then going on to have children is one of the major reasons why it's hard for women like myself to get my tubes tied. Because I would go into a doctor's office and I'm like, yes, I'm child-free. I would like to get my tubes tied. You know, they're like, oh, you know, you can't get your tubes tied, blah, 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 because you might change your mind. And I'm like, but I'm child-free. That means I'm not going to change my mind. They're like, well, yeah, I used to be child-free as well. Yeah, I was child-free and my little Timmy came along and my little Timmy just saved my life and he's the apple of my eye and I couldn't imagine life without him. And I'm like, okay, then you were never child-free then. You were childless, or you were a fence sitter, or you were undecided, or whatever. But child-free women don't want children ever. Like, we're not going to change our minds. That's like what child-free is. Then the doctors will, you know, go on and say, yeah, my sister was child-free too, and now she has 3 little ones. And it's like, okay, if you guys were really child-free, little Timmy and your 3 fucking nieces and nephews, whatever, would not be here. Like, seriously. You guys will say you're child-free and then you'll go on to change your mind. No, and it's very difficult for us to stand our ground to prove to people when it matters, like doctors, to tie our tubes, that we're not going to change our minds. We don't want children, okay? There was a few women in my comment section that were saying that
they are child free, but they wouldn't mind having kids.
I responded by telling her there's a difference between being child free and childless, and that if she doesn't mind having children, then that means that she's childless. Then another woman came to her defense and she's like, you know, no, she's child free and it just means for childless is for women that can't have children. So then I explained that I would just do a video saying the differences because I think that they were confused. Well, they were confused. And then another woman who I assume is child free comes in and she's like, yeah, there is a distinction. So shout out to you. And I'm like, do you see how crazy that sounds? Okay. So when you say you're child-free and you feel like you're child-free because you're choosing not to have children right now, but you wouldn't mind having them, that is the exact same thing as saying, I'm against domestic violence, but I wouldn't mind if my man beat my ass. Like, that's basically what you're saying. It's literally the same thing. You are either completely for something or you're completely against it. It's no in between, right? So if you say you're child free and then you go on in the future to have kids or have a kid or whatever,
you were never child free. You were childless.
The difference between a child free person and a childless person is this. If we both say we're child free and we both get pregnant and one of y'all, you were like, I don't believe in abortion. Both sides are saying I don't believe in abortion. Okay. A truly radical child-free woman will immediately begin to believe in abortion, and she's not going to have that baby. Like, you will say,
oh, I'm pregnant, and I don't really want to have this baby, but I don't believe in abortion, so I'm going to keep it.
Okay, you're not child-free. A child-free woman will go from not believing in abortion to believing in abortion real quick, at lightning speed, because that is how radically child-free she is. That's the difference here. Now, I personally am pro-choice, have always been, always will be. And the vast majority of child-free women, I would say probably high 90 percentile of us, are automatically pro-choice by default. because you can't claim to be child free and then have a kid. It doesn't work that way. We will believe in abortion. We would take Plan B pills. We would make the man use condoms. We would do everything in our power to not get pregnant in the first place. And if we ever did, and if you were living in a state that banned abortion, we would jump on a plane and go to the next state that don't ban abortion, or we would throw ourselves down a flight of stairs or whatever. But at the end of the day, we will not have children. We will leave this earth never having kids. If anything that I am saying to you is offensive, it is because
You are not a child-free woman.
okay? Child-free women will absolutely understand and agree with me, because that is how adamant we are about being child-free. That is the difference between childless and child-free. I don't think I can get any clearer than that. Like I said before, it's very hard for us to get our tube. I tried to get my tube size starting at the age of 19. I've been to probably 6 doctors in total, I believe. It could be more than that, actually. I think it's about 6 doctors in between the ages of 19 and now I'm finna be 39 at the end of this month, right? I finally gave up after. I was like, okay, don't nobody want to tie my tubes because I don't have no kids, and they swore I'm going to change my mind. You know, you got all these celebrity women, Jeannie Mai, you know. Jeannie Mai is a perfect example of a woman who for 10 years or plus however many years said she did not want children. She got with Jeezy. He must have talked her into having a kid and she felt safe with him or whatever. She has a baby. Boom, he's divorcing her 2 years later. Let that be a cautionary tale as to why the smart ones who say we're child free and we go to our graves never giving birth, this is why we're not going to change our mind. What's one of the reasons why we won't ever change our minds? We don't want the responsibility. Some people don't want to pass down genetic stuff going on. People don't, like the world that we live in and where the world is headed. I mean, people don't have kids. Child-free women don't have kids for a multitude of reasons. But one of the major reasons is having a kid for a man, just for that man to turn around and decide he don't want to be with you no more. Now, Jeezy was all types of red flags, in my opinion. She ignored the red flags. I thought they were actually cute together, but at the same time, if she would have been really smart, she shouldn't have had no kid with him. That's just my own personal opinion. Most relationships and marriages are going to run their course, and then the kids are going to be left hanging in the balance, and you're stuck with a kid that you never even wanted in the first place. Like, absolutely not, y'all. There is no way I would ever do that to myself. I did a video before saying no man on the planet is worth me having kids with. For that reason, it's at the top of the list. Now, there's a whole list, but that's at the top of the list right there. Ain't no man finna have no control over my life to decrease my quality of life. Okay? But anyways, I don't want this video to be long. This is why there is a difference. And this is why we are so radical about it. Most of us is because of shit like this. You know, everybody claims to be child free and then they change their mind. Some man came along and changed their mind, or they start thinking about a legacy, or they start thinking about what meaning does their life have if they don't have kids, and then they rushing to have kids at fucking 45 and 50 years old. Like, listen, if you are happy having a kid that late in the game, fine, I'm happy for you. There is no motherfucking way I would ever do no shit like that. I'm going to be a half a century old before I have my first kid. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. And I'm not trying to judge anybody. I really ain't. I just think that's kind of fucked up. Because the life expectancy of men and women in general, your kid ain't going to have that many years with you. And I think that's kind of fucked up. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to have that many years with you. I just read some article where a guy was like 61 and the woman was like 50 or something like that, and they just welcomed their first child. I could be off on the woman's age, but I'm just like, and we know the life, and they were black. The life expectancy for black men, most black men, especially the ones that live in the fast lane, they don't even make it to 50. So the older ones that don't live in the fast lane, and maybe they got out of the fast lane and they're like settled down, but they don't take care of their health, they usually don't make it past 70 something. I'm not trying to be funny. So there's a high chance that kid is going to be around 10-ish or whatever, 15 before their father croaks, and you're not going to have a dad. This is just my own speculation. Obviously, I don't know the future. I'm just going off of what tends to happen most of the time, right? When you have kids that late in the game, they tend to have all types of issues, mental disorders, all types of stuff. Down syndrome is very high. I just, really? No. So anyways, maybe I might do a part 2 naming some other stuff that I didn't cover. But for the most part, the gist of it is child-free women we are going to our graves never giving birth. That is the definition of child-free. We will do everything possible to not get pregnant. But if we do, we ain't keeping it. It's that fucking simple. If you are against abortion and you think I'm just an evil demon or whatever, I mean, you can unsubscribe. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but I am pro-choice on this channel. I have always been pro-choice. I am going to die pro-choice. I care about women's rights. I care about what women doing what the fuck they want to do. And yes, that's something else I want to talk about. So yes, I'm going to do a part 2 to this.